Okay, everybody. I know it's short notice, but all these patriots are ready to rumble. We got Patriot Liz Harris and Crypto Beadles and Edward Solomon, and we're doing this broadcast so that we can quickly tell everybody what the heck is going on with something called registration dates. Okay, super fascinating stuff that we should all be looking at nationwide. Okay, so here's the deal, folks. The government's supposed to be closed on Saturday, Sunday, and on holidays. But meanwhile, in the state of Colorado, would you believe that in their voter records, okay, now keep in mind, I used some of this information to create phantom voter scores. So here's another hint of how people can create their own version of phantom voter scores, is if you pull this data on your respective states' files, okay, and I just want to read this off to you. So with regards to Colorado, they went and did this, and there's 4.2 million registrations in the state of Colorado, and the number of ballots returned was 3.28 million. Would you believe that there was 314,000 people that registered to vote in Colorado on the weekend or on holidays? 314,000. Are you ready for this? 245,000 returned ballots. So they voted. So the question becomes, when you think of those two numbers, you're like, wait a second. Who the hell is registering to vote on a Saturday and a Sunday and a holiday? How good are those how good are those registrations? Where's the quality control? Now I know what some people are going to say. It's they enter it on a Sunday and then somebody checks it over. Well, my point is, you should look at this information on your county level. You should look at it on a precinct level, and then you should look at those particular files. So that's a nice, quick way to look. Now, keep in mind, when you look at Excel or you look at the CSV files, when people give you this information, you just see the numbers, you see the dates. So you have to just convert it to what is the day of the week. So in Excel, you can quickly do this by the formatting. Okay, so you can just say, I want to see what day of the week it is. So that's one way to quickly do it. And so,
Bobby, can I ask a question?
Oh, go ahead.
Is there a difference in the percentage of return ballots of the people that register between Monday and Friday and the people that registered on the weekends?
Great question. Great question. Actually, there is a difference in the state of Florida, and I think it came out to be about 7 percentage points. So I did look at that, and now keep in mind, folks, I started, I used this in some of my calculation as to assigning an odd of a potential problem to look at, so I would look at this as another data point. So it's like if I thought something was suspect and possible phantom voter based on last name analysis, first name analysis, phone number analysis, all these different things are part of one bigger regression. And then if I would see that this piece was there as well, I would be like, okay, that's another piece of confirming evidence. So what I'm saying is people should look at it and look at the difference. So when I looked at Florida, the deal is, I told you Colorado's numbers. What's really, really interesting, Ed, and I understand the law of large numbers, but in the state of Colorado, the 314,000, the 245,000 were voted. That percentage is 78.0255%. So 78.0255% of all of those people that registered on the weekends and holidays were 78.0255%. Now, what's fascinating is when I looked at that number overall for all of the data, it was 78.072%, which is unbelievable because, conceptually, what the hell are the odds that, that everybody would register, right, on Saturday, Sunday, as well as on the holiday, and have the same delivery rate, the same odds of voting as everybody who registered on Monday through Friday? You see what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. So this is why it's a beautiful spot to look. Now, if you look at Florida, this is interesting because Florida had 789,000 people register on a Saturday, Sunday, or on a holiday. Now their voting registration, it was the number of people that voted was 634,473. So 80%. So 80.4% of the people that registered on the weekends, registered on the holiday, voted. They voted their damn ballots. Now keep in mind, I asked Colorado and Florida, please get me the percentages of the breakdown by the type of vote. What was a mail-in? What was in person? It would be super cool to look at how many people that registered on the weekend just did the mail-in. I have a feeling it's going to be pretty high. Okay? Now, it just turns out that I'm going to share my screen with you guys because I asked Florida, and by the way, Liz, just so you guys are watching Florida, Liz did tell me to call you, so my apologies that I didn't call you fast enough. So, Ro out there, I just want you to know, as well as Sweet Caroline, you guys, I don't know if you guys get the joke, but the song, by Neil Diamond. Anyways, Caroline, Liz did tell me to call you. So if you're mad, don't be mad at Liz, be mad at me. She's the one that takes my complaints. But anyways, so I want to go through Florida. So Bobby, you got something to say, Robert?
Make sure you get your phone off your desk because it's vibrating.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me get it off.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay,
That's some really interesting data. That's some really interesting stuff that you're able to pull out. How were you able to find that so other people can as well if they want to see this for themselves?
Well, what you need to do is just simply look at the registration dates in the files. So if you pull the registration dates, and what we did is, what I did is I computed, you can convert each date to a number. So there's just a number. You can quickly put this together in Excel if you want. And then you could do, you can convert the date to a number. So for example, if you were to take, I don't know, let's just say, we'll just quickly say 11/3/2020, and you put it into Excel, and you go to Format Cells, and with that, you just say, I want to see a number. And the number on that day was 44,138. So the way they set this up in Excel is they start, I think, number one as the year 1900. Okay, so 44,138 days is after the year 1900. I think 1900 is the year one. Let's double check. So if we just simply go 1/1/1900, I think that might be the day that it's, yep, that is number one. So 1/1/1900 is day one. And then, day 44,138 was 11/3/2020.
Gotcha.
So you can convert these numbers this way, and people don't think to do this, right? It's not the most common thing to look at. You might be wondering, why the hell would you do that stuff, right, Bobby? Well, I can tell you, when I try to price assets, I look for every edge I can get. So I look at price data, that shows up randomly on different days of the week, after hours, and so I'm used to converting dates to numbers, where I don't even look at the number. I look at where it is in the sequence of all the numbers through time.
See, what I would do with that database that you have now is I would get for every single day of the week. Now I'll probably go crazy. I probably do every time of the day. Okay.
Yeah, that's what you do in the stock market, buddy. So we could talk about this later. So but we're right now, that's the way we should ideally do voting. So
with voting.
But we don't have the timestamps through time of any of these damn ballots. In an ideal world, I agree with you. We should know the exact timestamp and the exact geolocation so that we can go to the damn cameras and be like, where is that son of a bitch that voted at this moment in time? And we'll look at the videotape, and artificial intelligence in the future will allow us to do this. You can literally design a system. It'll be able to check people at their snapshot through time. Actually, I did a thing that we should have drones flying over the voting stations and keep track of the heat signature of people going into it. And then if there's miscounts across all the counties on voting day, we can turn around and look at what was the number of heat signatures that walked into a building. These drones could cover, I think, something like 60, I think it's like, maybe it's like 600 square miles or 60 square miles per drone. Instead of using them for, fighting wars, let's use them to make sure our damn elections are secure. So anyways, we could talk about that later. But go ahead, Liz.
I don't have anything.
Come on, you got something. What?
Oh, no, I have been calling out asking for timestamps on these log files forever. And they exist. They just won't give them to us.
I wonder why. How do you have like 600,000 people vote in 1 second?
Yeah. Something else, right? If you have them all vote even within 1 damn minute. Like how the hell did they all vote in the same damn minute of the day? That's just unbelievable. But no, I do think it's pretty cool. But Liz, in terms of all your volunteers there in Arizona, with regards to this, if you have their volunteers take the list by precinct, by county, and then you look at, hey, who the hell registered on which day of the week, and which ones kind of look weird that registered Saturday and Sunday. Let's kind of delve in and look at those data files.
Sure.
Because I got to tell you, you're going to find a lot of stuff in there. There's a woman that reached out to me from Pennsylvania. I want to share one thing because this goes to show you. This is why I'm hoping that you, Liz, with your daily updates on Arizona, same with you, Crypto and Edward, when you're talking, she watched my clip about the votes being destroyed in Pennsylvania and then them showing up in Georgia, and she would have never thought to look. But that 5 battleground states that I posted, her last name, I don't know if she wants me to say it, so I'm not going to say it just in case. But she told me she went and looked at her last name. And this is what she wrote. Actually, I could say it. She sent it to me here on Telegram. Her name is Jessica Wood, and she met with some legislators in Pennsylvania today. She goes, this has been very helpful, Bobby. Voter data in Pennsylvania is showing significant anomalies. My last name, very common, does not exist for my county. It does not exist for the state. It doesn't even exist in Arizona or Wisconsin. But it shows up in Georgia and Michigan. Seems that certain groups of predominantly one-way leaning voters have been wiped out to make way for phantom voters. I'd encourage all to look at their respective states and request voter data from your county to compare. So keep in mind, she kept, to her credit, she tracked me down on Facebook and she kept texting me until I responded because she wanted to talk to me before she met with her state rep today. So I did talk to her and I explained what was going on with this in the theory behind it, that they ran an optimizer. They destroyed a certain number of last names within a particular county because they said, Liz Harris, let's just say you, I'm going to use you as an example. So the Harris family of Maricopa County, they vote 50-50. Half of you voted Democrat, half voted Republican. And they have the data because they saved your information, whether you knew it or not. They knew exactly how you voted every time you went into the damn voting booth, okay? They just didn't tell you they knew. And they saved it so that then when you showed up in the voting booth again and all the Harrises showed up in the 2020 election, and you guys are a bunch of troublemakers. The model said 50-50, but the Harrises decided to go 75-25 Trump. So now they're like, this sucks. Harris had 1,000 people I'm just making this up. 1,000 Harrises in Maricopa. Before it would be 500. But because you went 75-25, there's 500 votes swing. So what do? Who cares if you destroy 25 Democrat votes? We're going to destroy those extra 500 that went to Trump. Get the Harrises out of here. Get them out. And that's what they did. They figured out the least number of last names to destroy. And this piece of garbage, Benedict Berry, was bragging about how he got rid of 5 to 10 or 20 votes across all these precincts in America. He bragged that he could win these races by 5 to 20 people. Like it was like no big deal. We figured out how to beat the races by 5 to 20 votes per precinct. Well, if you could destroy the Woods in this precinct and you destroy the Harrises over here and the Solomons over there and the Beadles over there because you guys move out of line. If you step out of line, we're going to cancel you.
We're going to cancel. That's what I was saying. They're canceling us.
We're going to cancel your vote because the hell with you. You didn't behave. You follow orders. You do what you're supposed to do each damn election or you're out. We're going to take you out.
I'm sure mainstream media would justify it too. Well, you know what? Even though this has been exposed now, these are bad people, so we have to cancel them.
Cancel them out. Get rid of the Harrises. You guys, I can't believe you voted for Trump. You remember that piece of garbage from Google? We can't let this happen again. The CEO of Google. Remember those two losers? Huh?
Remember Biden saying that
Yeah.
they built the most expansive voter fraud organization in the history of the United States? Well, there you go. It doesn't get any more direct and straightforward than that.
Well, they're pulling it off right here. So I think this is what we're uncovering. I just want to do that shout out here real quick because we're gonna look at defend. So I'm gonna type this into the box here for Caroline and Roe. So if you go type in defend to 474747 and sign up if you want to get involved with regards to Florida. So they sent me this information. I'm going to pull it up and share it with you guys because I asked them, this was on Florida. So what I mentioned in Florida is the number of mail-in, the number of these people that registered on the weekend was 80%. The overall sample size was 73%. Here's the file that I'm going to show real quick. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so let me see here. And I'm going to share. Okay. Let me see here. StreamYard. Okay, hold on a second. Allow. So I don't. Holy cow! What the hell is all that? Hold on. Sorry, folks. Let me see here. So if we go to here, and then I'm gonna expand this. You guys see this, or what's it doing?
You're sharing. You're sharing the screen that you're on. You need to move it to a separate monitor and share that one screen.
Okay. So. Okay. So what do I need to do here?
Move whatever you want to share to a different screen other than the one you were on.
Okay, I don't have it set up on my other computer right now, so I apologize, and I don't want to waste a bunch of time trying to set that up. But let me tell you what they're saying, and I'll put you guys all back on here. So they sent me the file for all this, and they just sent it literally right before 4:00. So this is why I didn't have time to get it done. But I asked them to do this last minute. So what they did is they did Dade County. They broke this out across all the counties. There's 67 67 counties in Florida, and then the weekend registrants that they did. So what I'm going to show you is they did. Hold on a second. So on the weekend registrants, they had 106,000 people in Dade County register on the weekend. Okay, and of those, 84,000 voted. Okay, so 84,000 people voted that were registered on the weekend. So I'm across these 67 counties, just running a quick set of statistics on this. You can see that, the smaller ones, it's funny. They just don't have a lot of people registering on the weekend in the smaller. A lot of those people didn't vote or something. Hold on, let's double check. Hold on. So
something that's really out there. We used your spreadsheet that you put together for everybody to download. And if you look at just Wisconsin, there's a population of about 5.8 million people or so. There's registered voters or just under 3.8 million, and the votes cast were 4.5. So 77% of the population who voted, but the percentage of registered voters who voted was 119%. So how do you go from 3.8 million?
How have they justified that? Has that been brought out?
We just did the math. It's very simple. You can look at the voter rolls.
Can I explain to you why that happens then? Because I think I know why that happens.
Oh, let's hear it.
All right. So they have to have a proportion of mail-in votes to election day votes or some form of votes to another form. So I've discovered to exactly 3-1. And they have to, that annihilation thing I was talking about, a 25%. If they ensure a 3-1 proportion, Biden always wins with 50% or more of the statewide vote. If there's just one more vote in the mail of a 3-1 proportion, Biden always wins using the system that they have in Michigan. So they may have been put in a predicament where the amount of people that came out to vote on election day, they didn't have enough registered voters to get 3-1 in the mail.
So you got 3.8 registered and 4.5 casted votes or votes cast. That's crazy.
What have they? I usually in my own bubble, so I never heard that. How would they try to excuse that?
Dude, nobody even mentions it. You have to do the math for yourself. This isn't something I saw on CNN. This is something that I did from me and the kid. We did this from Bobby's data and then looking at how many registered voters there are on the Secretary of State page. So we looked at the Secretary of State's page. We looked at how many total registered voters there were. We looked at the population of the state. And then we looked at Bobby's math. And there's about, almost 800,000 more votes than voters. Yeah, I'll forward it to you.
My God.
Yeah. Well, here's what's interesting about Florida, guys. So when you look at the average across all 67 counties, it turns out that in Dade County, the really big one, right, 106,000 people, weekend registrants with 80% hit rate, 6.6997%. Actually, I'm going to pull that out one number, see if it's 6.996. Look at that. It is 6.66996. I was just wondering if they wanted to get that 6 out there. And they sure as heck did. It came out to be elegantly 669. They love their 6s, 3s, and 9s. They got to make it just right. So, anyways, when they did that there, it's 2.09 full points higher than the average of the 67 counties. And so, if there was a fluke, and I understand that, like the Colorado folks, they said that they contacted the Secretary of State and they said, people can register on the weekend and, maybe, it's okay. We process it properly the next day. Look, I don't trust them. I'm not saying that these people don't exist, but you know what? It sure as hell makes sense to look into it. And we should look into all of these that were registered on the holidays or on the weekends with a fine-tooth comb. Because clearly, when you look at the county level of Florida, you got someone on? Is that your aunt? So basically, if you do that, I think you'll find that you should look into this a little more. And my point is, folks, what you do is you take this information, like you take this registration data. Everybody has it. Go back through time and see when did all these people register in your respective precincts or counties. Then you go look at, hey, this is a good starting point. Let's go see what their last name is. Then you look at the last name analysis for your county. And then you're like, hey, look at that. There's only one of these. There's only one person with that last name. Maybe that's a phantom voter, and so let's just use some good old-fashioned common sense. They registered on a Saturday or Sunday. They got a last name that there's only one in the entire damn state, and then, we look at a couple other things, right? Maybe they
could be the other way around, like you were showing me yesterday. You could have 500 of these people exist here and nowhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the whole point is that if you guys, I'm hoping, Liz, when you're talking about this is an actionable item that the American public can do. They can look at this nationwide. They can look at this for Florida. They could look at, like they did in Florida. I'm at the point now, just so you guys know, now that we have enough momentum going, I'm kind of dripping out all the different ways and factors to throw into a phantom voter score. You guys can create your own and make it even better than the one that I created, that I used for Liz. I'm thinking, look, I'll give you each of the pieces. You guys assemble your own building blocks, use your own set of statistics on it, and let's create our own algorithms to spot this fraud. That's what I'm hoping to do.
All the wheels are already turning in my head. I'm thinking, well, if you had to, I would do this, and start looking for this trend, and that can't be real. That's an algorithm.
So my whole point is, Edward, if we get the data right for Arizona, right, for Liz. So Liz, just so you know, Edward, I talked to him yesterday. I don't know if you caught any of the stream. I know you're super busy too, but I told Edward, New Hampshire and Arizona, the big suckers on deck. Let's do his analysis with regards to each individual precinct and compare it to the phantom voter scores that I created for each precinct of Arizona. And then we combine it with some of this other analysis. and then say, boom, here's the highest probability spots. So then crypto, I think your team, you put together the what is it? Vote. What's the site? I got to put that on here.
I have Maricopa today. I have Maricopa, and if they use the same algorithm in Michigan, I can determine it in a half hour.
Okay.
Not even.
So
I'll stream it today.
Awesome.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, voteconfirm.com for Maricopa, right? So voteconfirm.com. Yeah, that's what it is. So for anybody that wants to put their data in there, they can. One of the things that me and the kid we found was off of your data, and this is super impactful for Liz because we know that she won, in my opinion, by a lot, even though they say that she lost by about 1,000 votes. If you look in Arizona, there is one unique last name that only exists in one record in the entire United States. So the entire United States, there's only one record of this last name, and she's a dentist in Arizona. However, there's 3,500 votes with that last name in Arizona alone, but there's only one record of that name in the entire United States. But there's 3,500 records of it just in Maricopa County, or the Arizona tab that you put together for us.
Okay, just so you know, one other thing I want to point out, Robert, and on all these files, there's these digital things they put on top of different names. So when you see that, I don't know who has the technology or who has the software. You got to be able to figure out who they tagged with that. But they're signaling through the data. Okay. Yep. One other thing I want to point out, if you guys have time on your hands, and I haven't done this yet, but there's going to be, I think you're creating, Robert, aren't you creating one other thing? You said,
we've created a lot of stuff.
No, but I think you just created it today on the fly for Linda. Help?
Yeah, for sure. That was my kid. He put that together for you really quick. That is joinpiton.com. So joinpiton.com.
So that's going to be for volunteers. And here's the deal, folks. All those last names, there's 600,000 unique last names of one instance in the data. Okay? If you go to the Battleground States file, and if you take that last name and you throw it in the Google Translate, and you do it to Mandarin Chinese, you'll see it comes up with some damn phrase or word. I can't speak Mandarin, but all I'm saying is I can't help but think that some of these words are being used to transmit messages across the United States. And they might have infiltrated our voting records for all I know. I have no idea. And they're communicating with the voting records with these really obscure last names as well as first names. And they don't mean anything because the letter combination is just bizarre. It's not English, okay? It's like, whatever. It's not English. It looks like it's English, but some weird ass combinations of just one last name with that. And I was thinking about it. I meditated on it back in December. I didn't know who the hell because I was trying to contact someone at the NSA to look at this because I said, I don't know if they're literally signaling to each other across the United States through the damn voter rolls and the last name analysis, and that nobody's going to think to look. So if people want to go to, what did you call it? Piton? You said,
so it's joinpiton.com. Yeah. So
if you fill this out for Join Piton, we have a couple people that are going to help coordinate volunteers, and you wanted to carve out 1,000 names, and you say, Bobby, we're going to go to put these 1,000 names into Google Translate. And we're going to take all these damn words. Let's see if we can decipher some damn messages. I have no idea if we're going to find anything, but if we could break the problem down, 600 volunteers times 1,000 names is 600,000 names. So, it's tedious work, but if we can get it all into one damn Excel file that we share with the public, maybe other people will be like, okay, this word's here, this one's in this precinct. What the hell is it? Maybe somebody will be good with jigsaw puzzles and put all these damn words together as to whether or not they're sending some sort of message across the country. Because I am very concerned, and I've said it publicly back in January, that there might be some kind of Tet offensive on U.S. soil by these sons of bitches on our soil that have snuck in, purchased property through various trusts. They're hiding it. They're doing stuff through crazy things with the communist, the corrupt, evil, satanic Communist Party of China, and they might be, who's to say? Maybe they're sneaking in weapons onto our soil. Maybe they're sending them through the damn mail because we don't have good systems in place. Maybe they're sending them in through these damn port cities, right? It's not a coincidence that 3 major ports are in Pennsylvania. One, the largest flow of human beings and goods is from Arizona. That comes in through there. Okay. Then you have the largest flow of goods from Canada through Detroit, which is Michigan. Then you have the largest flow of goods from the Great Lakes shipped in through Wisconsin and the Minnesota port. Folks, it's not a damn coincidence that they're really trying to take these 5 states. They locked up New York. They got a communist mayor. They locked up Chicago and Illinois. They got a communist mayor. They locked up Seattle, Washington. That's a communist mayor there. And California has been a shit show for a long time. They ripped off they knocked out those ports. And all I'm saying is, but folks, if they strangle, and let's not forget about Georgia, because there's the 4th largest port in the United States is through Georgia. So if they strangle us with, if you're going to try to strangle the United States, cut them off at their major ports, and then you can, and if you can control it, because you own the politicians there, you own the flow of goods that come into the country. Now these scumbags, I think, are operating through Canada as a proxy. They're trying to have a Canadian rail company buy out a U.S. rail for the first time in U.S. history, to have a rail company go through the United States into Mexico, in through Canada. And it's like, where the hell are the regulators? Why the hell does this guy, this pain in the ass Bobby Piton, have to be screaming about this? Why is there no outrage that they could be possibly shipping weapons, troops, goods, whatever, explosive materials, I don't know what the hell, through our rail system? Folks, look at history. The reason why Lincoln preserved the Union and defeated the South was because Abraham Lincoln nationalized the rails. And a lot of people are pissed at him, but he nationalized the rails, and he sent our troops into the South within 4 to 6 hours. They got down there and they kicked the shit out of the South that was tired from walking. And all I'm telling you is that he used technology, and he used the damn telegraph to beat the piss out of them. Okay, that's what happened. When I sit there and look at this history, I worry about them beating the piss out of us because nobody's paying attention.
I have to ask Liz Harris a question about Maricopa, because I'm just looking at the data from the county recorder. When I go to look at this today, the forms of voting I have, if I don't ask Almer to forget, it says early vote and election day and provisional. Are mail-ins part of the early vote?
Liz, you're quiet. Hold on.
All right, here we go. Okay, so there's actually, do you have the codes where it's R, B, V, S? Do you have all those codes?
No, all I have is overvotes early, undervotes early, votes early, turnout, overvotes election day, undervotes election day, votes election day, overvotes provisional, undervotes provisional, and votes provisional. Those are the only numbers that I have.
Okay, so you have numbers. All right, so we had a lettering system. So essentially, you either vote in person on election day, all right? That's one code, and then all the other codes are early voting. So they don't really differentiate. All right, so you get your ballot in the mail. I don't know if I'm answering your question. You get your ballot in the mail. You either bring your ballot in, or you show up with ID, and then they'll print out a ballot on demand. That would be considered an early vote.
Is there any way a mail-in vote will show up in the election day vote?
If a person drops the mail-in vote at the polling location on election day, yes, that will count as a mail-in vote.
Well, hopefully that didn't happen too many times.
No, that happens a lot.
Oh my God.
No, it's a green envelope. Okay. It's very complicated how they did it in Arizona. So up until election day, yeah, probably. up until election day, you could either mail your vote in a mailbox, you can put it in a drop box, or you could bring it to a voting center and you essentially dropped it, and it would have been in a green envelope. If you wanted to vote in person, it would have been an early vote up until a certain point, and then they started calling them emergency votes, but we won't even get into that. If you voted in person before election day, they printed out a ballot on demand, you inserted it into a white envelope, and then you dropped it into the box. Only on election day would they print out a ballot on demand, they would hand it to you, and then you would fill it out and insert it into the tabulator. Now, can you explain to me why we needed all those different methodologies?
Yeah, I can from my perspective right now. Okay. So in Michigan,
be careful what you ask, Liz.
I can tell I can reverse the algorithm, because election day is only election day and mail-in is only mail-in. So I can see how they set the mail-in percentages to election day. But if you're telling me that election day could be part mail-in, I have no idea anymore. I will not be able to differentiate. Now, that being said, there's one advantage on our side. It looks like the proportion of election day votes to early votes is about 10-1 everywhere. So that means that that's what they would have to adjust anyway. But hopefully I can tell the difference.
So the true difference in Arizona, a mail-in vote would have been a green envelope that would have been, again, either mailed or carried into a voting center. And you ready for this? They decided that a mail carrier could bring on election day 1,000 green envelopes to any voting center they so chose. I mean, just to add complications to how it was all done.
Yeah, who knows how many of those letter carriers were actual letter carriers?
Yeah.
They probably had nice little uniforms too, right? Like that FedEx guy that showed up at somebody's house. It wasn't a FedEx guy, remember? Just got
the judge.
FedEx uniform. That kind
All
of.
right. So, I mean, if I was a citizen of Maricopa, I'd be just mad how the system works, whether or not it's fair or unfair, because then you can't ever do any analytics to look for an unfair election. That's crazy.
Oh, and then they don't give you the final data set until mid-January. But
I think that's when I got the data set from Maricopa before, when one of my friends was helping and he was trying to look for what I did in Georgia. We didn't find it, so it was definitely a different algorithm. But my God.
Yeah, complicated by design.
Well, and I want to go back to that emergency voting. So all of a sudden, Friday night before election, because that's when I voted, all of a sudden I was there and it turned into emergency voting. And I was asking everyone there, what does it mean emergency voting? And nobody could answer it. It's like, so they had early voting and then emergency voting.
Yeah, emergency, we need more ballots.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Well, look, I mean, the whole thing is crazy. What I'm going to say is
all right. Let me ask one last question.
What?
Is there any way as somebody who physically walked into that poll on election day could be considered an early vote?
Well, no.
All right. At least I got one thing on my side. Okay.
Okay.
No, it would have been considered an absentee ballot vote because they would have brought in the green envelope. Does that make sense to you? You see, Edward, I got to look at your codes because our codes are straight from Maricopa County and they're all letter codes.
Well, that's what I'm doing, the codes for Michigan, right? So the codes for Michigan are straight party ticket election day or straight party ticket mail-in, or individual election day or individual mail-in. Those are the 4 codes in Michigan by law.
All right.
And they're all recorded by the county recorders, so I can figure out what the hell happened, right?
We have a lot more codes than that.
That's very scary because it's a probability problem, right? It's a combination problem. Let's say there's only one way to vote, right? Just election day. I only have to look at one thing, right? But now if there's 2 ways to vote, now I have to look at 2 things. Not that bad. But now if there's 3 ways to vote, I have to look at 2 to the third power minus 2, I have to look at 6 ways to vote. And then let's say if there was 100 ways to vote. Well, 2 to the 100th power minus 2 is some number astronomical. The amount of combinations I have to go through gets really crazy. Yeah.
About 5,000 combinations. So yeah, like to your point, if you go to, if you get 10 different ways of voting, Liz, there's 50 combinations versus 1. So they make it 50 times as complex. And that's the problem. And so obviously we need to go back to no more than 2 at the max, 2 different types of ways of voting at the max, 2. I know it should be 1, but 2. Let's just say it was 2, because if it was like if people say they can't go to the voting booth because they're feeling sick or something, no problem. Send a veteran. We've got plenty of patriots in this country. Veterans will gladly show up and make sure that you are who you say you are when they look over you. Because if they went and fought and died for, were willing to die for this country, and they lost friends, and there's one in every 19 Americans is a veteran in this country, then damn it, they should be the ones that go over and hand deliver that damn ballot. And I don't even mind if we put some money aside to pay them for their time, because you know what? Our veterans in this country are mistreated enough. We should at least pay them to help make sure that our damn system that they fought for is preserved, and for not just for us, but for our children and grandchildren.
Liz Harris, when I was looking at the election system the way you want it, I agree with it, but I would go further, right? Not only can you only vote on election day at the center, but there has to be a designated time. And we make it a national holiday so nobody can complain, okay? You make it a national holiday or a state holiday since you restrict within state law, right? Everybody, and you have to be there with, say, between 3 and 6 o'clock at your high school to go vote, your local high school. And you're not allowed to leave until it's over.
I like Or the other thing you could do is you can get a code. Look, these scumbags at some of these tech companies, you get two level authentication, right? The ones that are basically censoring us, they probably are infiltrated by some damn communists from other countries, and these infiltrations of communists that are doing this crap. Meanwhile, they have technologies where you can get two type of authentication. Each person should be able to. You know what? Hey. If you want to collect some money off of a Google video, you have to get the damn code mailed to you, right, Liz? I think I'm owed like $10. I don't run ads on my stuff, but all I can tell you is I had to get something in the mail to confirm who I said I was to get my $10. Well, if each vote in this country on a $6 trillion budget in Congress, each vote is worth over $10 billion of spending. Each vote in Congress is over $10 billion of spending. So it's like, well, if you're going to get $10 billion of spending, if a nut job like AOC gets in by cheating somehow, I don't know if she is, I think it's worth looking at New York, buddy. Edward, we're going to have to look at New York and look at her damn race, as well as the terrorist from Michigan and the terrorist that lives in Minnesota. Those terrorists need to be examined.
Here's what I know about New York, all right?
Yep.
51% of the people voted for Trump in Suffolk County, where I live on Long Island, all right? But everywhere you go, even the minority neighborhoods out here, it seems to be very pro-Trump, all right? I have a minority neighborhood, and this guy, he had 3 priorities to dig out in a blizzard in February. His car, the fire hydrant, and his Trump 2020 sign after the election. And you're telling me that Trump only got 51% of Suffolk County?
So, anyways, so my whole point is that if we examine this stuff and expose it, I think that between crypto, what you're putting together for the digital canvassing, folks, everybody out there who's listening, please, let's make sure that people get involved and spread the word with if you have family or friends that live in Arizona. As well as we're going to try to do this nationwide. Here's the deal of what this is doing. We don't need to know how you voted. We don't care if you voted Republican or Democrat or Independent. That is absolutely irrelevant. What we do care about is, did you vote or did you not vote? And then we're going to look at that and compare it to what they're saying happened with your name where you live. And then this is a way we could digitally canvass very quickly to see how many phantom voters showed up for real people that exist, but somehow someone voted on their behalf without their knowledge. I've gotten contacted by a bunch of people that said their wife was sick, they forgot to do a mail-in ballot, they did not get to vote, and then meanwhile their wife voted. So they're like, who the hell voted for my wife, right? And so this is happening across the country, and hopefully this vote confirm thing, your name's already in the voter rolls, folks. So don't think like all of a sudden we're trying to, do something. Your name's there. So it's like if it's there and you registered to vote, we're asking like three votes. Did you vote in 2020? Did you vote in the primary of 2020? And did you vote for president in 2016? That's what we're asking. And all the other questions are optional. You could just pass on them. But please take the time to do it if you live in Maricopa. Because, Liz, if we can get that data, even if it's 10,000 people, 20,000, 50,000 people, if we can just get that sample size and look at who actually voted in Maricopa before this audit is wrapped up, we'll be able to use the law of large numbers to say this is how many people did not freaking vote, but someone voted on their behalf. We need a much larger, in-depth
Bobby,
investigation.
I want the people to know what the law of large numbers is.
Okay,
And
go ahead.
I usually give an example of a deli, right? So let's say you have a bunch of delis in New York State, all the delis, right? And for every month of the year, they order this many pounds of ham, right? The law of large numbers says that next year they're probably going to order the same amount of pounds of hams with a very tiny little standard deviation. In a casino, this is how casinos make money. It says that we have a game that makes it so that we win 80% of the time. So if 1 million people walk in, the law of large numbers says the casino is going to win 80% of the time. And when the next 1 million people walk in, the casino is also going to win just about 80% of the time. It's something that businesses are based off of, is how they function. It's definitely how a casino functions. That's all I want to say.
I think that's great. I think so. This is why we're trying to do the same thing. And now, granted, there might be some people that are lying and cheating, right? And this stuff. But Join Piton doesn't work. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if Join Piton is up, folks. We're going to work. It is up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Give me a second. Yeah.
Hold on a second. You go to Join Piton if you want to be a volunteer. And
Yeah, that's it. JoinPython.com.
Okay. Why isn't it? Okay.
It didn't pull up for me.
They might have spelt it wrong. I don't know.
There's no www on it, guys.
Okay.
It's just joinpython.com. If you want to get involved and be a volunteer, our number one priority right now is Arizona, Maricopa County. Then we need volunteers to pour through all the data for Liz Harris. Liz Harris has been right here, right out of the gate, fighting for this whole nation, and she dragged me into this mess.
On Black Friday.
Yeah, on Black Friday. So any complaints still go to her. Nothing has changed on that, folks. Go to her YouTube channel and file a complaint about Bobby on her channel.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for that.
The last question for Liz. Give me a ballpark figure in your gut. If I have 1,000 election day votes for Maricopa, what percentage of those do you think are real people that walked in versus dropped their ballot?
You know what? I would not feel comfortable answering that.
All right.
Because I honestly, I don't know. I think the switching happened at a greater level with the absentee ballot, the mail-in ballots.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. I'm just curious.
I mean, I think it did happen, no question. But I think, yeah, I couldn't. I think overall, Maricopa County, we're looking at a minimum of 106,000 fraudulent ballots. So go ahead.
I think that is so understated. I really think it's like 80%, 20%. I really think that that's what the real numbers are across the United States. And that's why they're bringing in the second audit. They're trying to do the second audit there in Arizona to just confirm the first audit. So I think it's like 80-20. I mean, think about how much fraud they had to find to be like, oh my God, nobody's going to believe this. Let's bring in another auditing company just to show that we're not, on crack here.
So that the rumor of the second company coming in is getting squashed very quickly because the legislators are reaching out to us personally saying there's no way that other company is going to come in and do that. And the one thing I do want to say, and maybe this is the reason I don't want to put down election day voting too much. I do, when it comes to Liz Harris winning, I did win the Patriot vote on election day. I didn't win the election, but I won the number of votes on election day. So I'm very proud of that.
We know you won.
I hope those people were real.
Well, keep in mind, Liz, I already told, working with Ed, we've already talked about you. I said, when you come on, we need to get Maricopa figured out, and then New Hampshire, and then Liz Harris, and then we'll look at Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania is going to have to wait, folks, until Ed and I look at Liz's race.
God help the people of Pennsylvania. Because I'm pretty sure I know it's the same thing they did in Georgia, the same algorithm. But in Georgia, I can prove it. In Pennsylvania, the only way I can prove it is with the null hypothesis that every precinct in those cities was rigged and connected. And that I can prove, right? With Georgia, I can show with the law of large numbers that you take this subset of precincts while they're running this algorithm, they're 20% Trump. After they turn off the algorithm, the next 200,000 ballots goes up to 45% Trump. In other words, the casino had 20% of the people, 1 million people voted 20% Trump, and then the same precincts, the next million came in and won 45% of the time. That casino would go broke instantly. If that was the business model, right? So I can tell. You mentioned law. I had to invoke the law of large. That's the only law I can invoke in mathematics to say this can't be true in Georgia.
So Edward, wait, I got good information on Pennsylvania. They're down here today and tomorrow visiting the floor of our audit, wanting to replicate it.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I did email every single rep in Pennsylvania, over 200 people, my letter. And, I was pretty pissed off. If you guys recall, I dropped that, I call it the political, atomic, like a nuclear weapon, like just about how many people were destroyed in Pennsylvania. And I posted that file everywhere. And then, obviously Jessica Wood is saying it. I've heard other people from other counties saying their family's gone and somehow they're showing up in Georgia. So obviously, Ed, we're going to be working on Pennsylvania and Georgia, but we got to get through this whole thing with New Hampshire, Maricopa, and Liz's race, because I think it'd be wonderful if we could just at least get Liz in there so she can tell us what the hell's going on in the state legislature.
Sure.
I'm going to have to start with the null hypothesis of Maricopa that all those election day ballots are good. That's the only way I can get around the problem right now. Okay.
No, can you guys believe that Bobby did Kathy Barnett's election before mine?
Oh man, yeah, the super rhino. I didn't know that she would actually coin the phrase super rhino the way she did. Oh yeah, and I love here's a shout out to Kathy. Yeah, my name's Kathy. I'm a Republican, and I'm the first black person that's going to be a Republican. But I'm a Republican, and we're supposed to be spirits first in human form, not humans in spirit form, right? It's like, you know what? You've already showed your cards. You're a freaking Trojan donkey, because Republicans don't care about the color of your skin. They don't care about your sexuality. They care about your spirit in Christ, in God. That matters most, that we're all equal before God. The color doesn't matter. I got blue eyes. I don't know, Liz, do you have brown? I don't have, neither one of our eye colors matters. Okay. Skin color doesn't matter. You're leading with that. You showed your hand. Okay. You got a shitty hand and you're not a Republican. Admit it. Go run as a Democrat, but maybe they won't take you because you screwed up their operation to come in as a sleeper donkey. I call them sleeper donkeys. Folks, please, around the country, the Democrats are trying to take control of the Senate with 60 seats. They're going to run Trojan donkeys. They're going to say God, guns, school choice, but they're full of shit. They're Democrats that are taking that message, and you better make sure you vet them out carefully, because they're sneaking into your town and they're trying to figure out how to sneak in there under the banner of the GOP when they're nothing more than a jackass.
And when the day finally comes where there's legislation that's clearly unconstitutional to ban all firearms, that's when they vote yes. Because that's
what they're trying to do.
Moment in the United States that will happen one day if we continue down this path. That's the most frightening moment in the United States.
Well, we can't let that happen. So don't vote. Friends, don't let friends vote for Trojan donkeys or sleeper donkeys like Kathy Barnett.
I honestly don't believe that anybody voted for any of this crap more than maybe 20%. I mean, look at all the stuff that you guys alone are able to find, not to mention what Shiva's been able to find, not to mention what the Maricopa, auditors on the floor are finding. Nobody's voting for this crap. They're stealing it from us. And I think we're all seeing that. And so now the people need to stand up and say enough.
Well, based what I saw in Louisiana, which is a state that's solid red, it looks like they even curbed Trump's percentage there. And I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't scientifically. But I think it's possible that they're shaving Trump's percentages in all of even the deep red states, just so they could say they have the popular vote. It's possible. I don't know yet. I haven't deep dive into any of that to see if it's true.
I think they're what they're doing is they're threading the needle for the next elections. They want to show a decline, and what they do is they structure it so that it's like the frog in boiling water. They raise the temperature, and now what these scumbags are doing is they're trying to get all these housing units across the country in various precincts and county that in traditionally conservative areas to put in a bunch of these voters that don't belong in the area. They sneak them in, they bust them in, they subsidize their housing through whether it be corporate. They do these various companies are putting up housing in different areas that are controlled by these scumbags, or they're trying to use the federal government to subsidize their games. The people in each community across this country better wake up and get involved, and don't let these damn housing projects go up in your neighborhood. If you earn the right to live in a neighborhood that you pay $10,000 to $15,000 in taxes for you and your family because you busted your ass and you built a business, then I'm sorry. Somebody who wants to live there that wants to pay $2,000 in property taxes, it's not happening. Go live in the other area. I grew up in a poor neighborhood of Chicago. I busted my ass. My taxes are $15,000 now in my house. I got the privilege of paying $15,000 on taxes. But you know what? I earned my right to be into this neighborhood. I don't get to just demand I can live wherever the hell I want. And hey, let's go in Lake Forest where there's $30 million homes. Hey, I want my apartment right here, baby, right next to your damn house that you earned the right to live in. That's horseshit. And that's what these scumbags are thinking they're going to do, so that then they surround that $30 million house and say, you know what? You don't deserve that $30 million house. We're going to raise your property taxes to $500,000 a year. We're just going to bleed you. You can't sell the damn thing. We're just going to bleed the life out of you, and then we're going to take your damn property.
Bobby, can I just share my screen for 2 seconds? I just want to show what I saw in Louisiana. Right.
All of this ends if everybody watching this video just shares it with 10 people and they all decide to run or become a precinct committeeman, become a senator, a dog catcher. This all ends. If we have patriots in control, they can't do this anymore. You can change the way we vote. We can change, what our voting methods are, the bills that pass, the swamp creatures that are in the system now can be drained. That's all that has to happen is we just have to get involved. No more apathy. We just have to get involved. We all need a seat. So Bobby, you're running for Senate. Liz should be the senator, So Edward, you got to run for something. I'm a PC committeeman. Everybody just needs to do their part, and this ends.
All right.
I agree.
All right. Can I just share my screen for 1 second? I absolutely agree.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So let me know when you can see. When you see the galaxy, I know my screen is sharing.
There you go.
Yep.
Okay. So if you have a natural election, right, there's a bell curve with a mean and standard deviation for the amount of people by percent that voted for a candidate. Okay. And the area under this curve is the cumulative distribution function. And the inverse function is called the inverse error function. So if I have a spreadsheet and I sort all the percentages from least to greatest for a candidate, I should get a line that looks like this in a fair election, okay? But in Louisiana and other places, this part that I'm expecting, it flattens out like this, as if Trump or other people are missing what the laws of nature have entitled them to, as if they're shaving off at this region. And I think, now I could stop sharing, I think that this is what they're doing to curb the popular vote across all the states. I don't know yet. I haven't gone into detail with any other state, but that's what it looks like to me.
Well, we saw that big F that came in around 1 o'clock in the morning, right? All for Biden. We know they're messing with the data. We know they're messing with the votes. You're just proving it out.
Well, look, to your point, guys, we can wrap this up because I know it's been an hour. And I'm looking forward to doing another one of these. You know, Robert, to your point, we know that it's fraud, but now, like you said, we've had plenty of conversations, and so same with Liz. You said, okay, Bobby, what do we do to get people to act on it? Like we have this information. What the hell do we need to do to change the system? And to your point, you're working with people, the Precinct Project. You got Operations Sunlight, and in making sure that people learn how to get mobilized. Liz, you're doing stuff with the physical canvassing. Now we're going to help supplement it with the digital canvassing. The people in Arizona that are part of your team are helping collect this data that Robert put together, the form with the vote confirmed, right? And so that's tying into Arizona. So you're going to get those files, Liz, once we do the cross check. You'll have that information. And then we have Ed, who's going to be looking at those phantom voter scores in aggregate across all the precincts of Arizona, so that then if you guys open up the vote within Arizona, like the audit across the other 14 counties, that we can look to see if his math, which is totally just looking at the end result, ties out to how they were creating these fictitious people in the voter registrations. And if the two close on each other, we take the case to the public and we demand resignations of these politicians, a decertification of Arizona, a decertification of Pennsylvania, decertify Georgia.
Hopefully Michigan, that should be easy.
And Michigan. And once we decertify, all you have to say is, you know what? We got to go take a look at what the real vote was. And guess what, folks? We're going to help make history, because you know what? Never did we lose 30 or 40 million jobs in a matter of a month in this country. They shut this damn country down because of a virus. They destroyed trillions of dollars of wealth in the middle of the month until President Trump took decisive action. And guess what? The whole economy did not collapse because of Trump's decisions. And that was an extremely gut-wrenching thing that we all went through and the whole planet's going through. And it was a one-time ever event. And guess what? We're going to have another one-time ever event when President Trump is back in the White House.
Yes.
I think he needs to be back in there as soon as possible. Nothing would make me happier than if he gets in there by July 4th. I don't know if that's a little aggressive, folks.
Every time a Patriot wins, we're going to have a one-time global event.
But it would be 30. I think it would be 33 days from now. I like that number 33, and we're at 335. We were at 333. But how cool would it be if President Trump was in there and said, "Hey, let's celebrate 4th of July again, Americans"? How incredible would that be? And I don't think it's impossible. I think if we all pray, we all do our part with God, anything is possible. And we need to see our president that we put in back in the damn White House and get these jokers and these criminals locked up and send them to Gitmo at this point. Once they get caught for doing all this stuff, and all their handlers, I don't care where they are in the world, we have the most advanced military in the world. We spend $1 trillion a year. We've got the NSA, the Space Force. Maybe the Space Force is to track these sons of bitches down anywhere on the planet. That's what I'm hoping they created it for. They got these satellites. They could track you down. They don't care if you're hiding in the damn tree in the Amazon. They're going to track you down and hunt you and get you thrown in the Gitmo where you belong. That's what I hope the Space Force is. I have no idea, folks. It would be pretty cool, though, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be cool if we got the video recorded? They show where these suckers were hiding out, and you hunt them down and you bring them to justice. Anyways, we'll see what happens.
Well, we just need to get our votes back, and then we don't have to worry about this ever happening again. If we all run for office, we all take office, we all do the constitutional thing, this doesn't happen ever again. That's what we have to do. People just been hoping that these elected officials or selected officials would do the right things, and we've clearly seen that they haven't, and we're in this predicament because too many of us have just left it to others. And so if we all get involved, then this won't be an issue, and we got to make sure that we get Liz in her rightful seat. So once we show that, that she was robbed, then what? We take it to the state legislature and demand that they do what's right and unseat the fraudster and put in, the proper winner.
Yeah, that's what we should do. And if they don't want to do that after we prove it inconclusively, then guess what? That's where you have Operation Sunlight, and we start running protests. And we start calling on patriots across the country to call 1,000 times a day, every single damn legislator, as well as email them all. And we make it a national event. And we just keep hammering away until they do the right thing. And we just shut them down. They shut down Europe all the time with damn riots. And they shut this economy down because of a virus. Well, we need to shut this. We need to shut down Arizona because this is a political virus of sorts. Because if they're willing to steal our freedoms and our rights under our guaranteed to us under our Constitution that we allowed the government the right to exist, then we need to shut them down. Everybody should watch the movie Miracle. Remember? I love her Brooks in there. We need to shut them down. We need that kind of go-to-ness. Liz, don't worry.
Hey,
Go ahead.
I'll be right back. 1 second.
8.1 million.
Okay.
Saturday,
Hold on here, guys.
8.1 million.
Uh-huh.
Philadelphia, right?
So
Saturday,
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. 890,793 on Saturday.
Hey guys, here. You guys hear me? So I'm running. So I have somebody running Pennsylvania right now, and it was a big data file. So because it was all in these counties levels. So of the 8.1 million records, okay, how many were on Saturday?
890,793.
890,000. Okay, and then how many on Sunday?
948,187.
Okay, we'll just go to 948. So listen to that. So on Saturday and Sunday,
Almost 1.8 million votes.
1.8 million out of 8.1. What? I can't help myself. As that piece of garbage Al Gore would say, an inconvenient truth. Remember that? That piece of shit.
So
I'm sorry. Liz, we it's a slightly different version than yours. Anyways, so 1.8 million out of 8.1 million in Pennsylvania. But we don't have the votes. We're going to have to get the vote numbers. But anyways, it's unbelievable. 22.22% is what it looks at. They love their symmetry, folks.
When did you ask me, Bobby? 2:30?
Yeah. 2:30. It took a little while to run all that, but I wanted to get it set up so we can look at Pennsylvania. So clearly, everybody should be looking at it. Hey, while you walked away, Edward, there's 1.8 million out of 8.1 million registrations in Pennsylvania that were done on Saturday and Sunday. 22%.
Oh, I just got back. Sorry.
There's 1.8 million registrations in Pennsylvania that took place on a Saturday or a Sunday. 22% of the voter rolls.
Okay, so let
And
me
Johnny
see what that is
Cash
in my
would say-
calculator.
Yeah, Johnny, that's 22%, 22.2%. Johnny Cash would say, get rhythm when you want to steal a vote. So, anyways, I know he's not from Pennsylvania, but
All I know is that when I want to do things that are official on paperwork, I usually do them on a business day. Right?
so
Not on a weekend.
Okay. Well, look, Liz, I know you have so few words to speak, but you're talking all the time on your show. But when you come on here, you don't want to talk. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. You
I
get
think
very
it's
quiet.
the time of day.
What's that? It's the time of day.
It's the time of day. It's nap time.
Okay. Well, you guys, thank you again for joining in, and please get the word out to have people across every state look at this analysis for themselves. How many people have registered on Saturday? And you're right. The best is yet to come because President Trump is our president, and the lunatic left is just going to lose their shit yet again. When
I'm still trying to see Rachel Maddow or Chris Matthews trying to explain how Biden's straight party ticket and mail-in and Trump's individual mail-in in Michigan always keeps canceling out to an aggregate of 45% in Macomb County. I just want to see them call a panel of like 30 Harvard professors to explain how it's natural.
Well, they like that 45 because they're mocking Trump. They set the number to 45 on purpose, a bunch of douches. Like just like your Ducey. You know, you've heard about that, Liz. Ducey douche. Yeah, freaking guy. Unbelievable. What a mess. Folks, I'm going to run for the U.S. Senate. I announced it yesterday. And just so you know, I'm running as an independent. My number one thing would be auditing every single race in 2020 nationwide, and then making sure I push legislation forward to cancel critical race theory and the communist agenda of critical race theory across this country. And then I think we need to go after all the assets of every trader and put it in a sovereign wealth fund. Those are my three things. You get into the U.S. Senate, audit everybody. All the money gets thrown into a sovereign wealth fund for Americans, and critical race theory is shit. We need to wipe it right on the throw it right in the dustbin of history, like we did with communism, and crush it. And those are just the three things to get started. Don't worry, we're going to talk to Crypto and all of his buddies, and we're going to blockchain the entire federal budget next. Where does every single damn penny go? And we want to see it every day like a ticker tape. How much money was spent every day? Because these sons of bitches are trying to spend $13 trillion more than we generate over the next decade. $5 for every hour you work, every single hour you work for the next 10 years. That's how much debt they want to take on. You work an hour, $5 in new debt. You work another hour, $5 in new debt. For the next 10 years, if they pull this off, folks, they will wipe out the wealth of 270 million Americans over the next 10 years. This is how they're going to back into communism. So this is what I will be speaking up against. I'm going to piss off a bunch of communists and a bunch of Chinese sympathizers, everybody else that's doing all this horse shit. But this is what we need to do because they've declared war on the American people with this horse shit. So we're either going to fight back or we're going to lose the whole damn board. So it's up to you guys to decide. Liz, you need to run for the Senate in Arizona.
No, we just need to make sure that she actually gets a rightful seat.
Yeah, we'll get that first.
Show that.
I think she needs to get into the Senate as well. So, anyways, I'll be doing that at night. I got to work during the day like everybody else. I think we need to have a Congress where everybody's working during the day. They show up and vote and get their ass back home to their state and be with their family instead of whoring around out there and coming up with ways to rip everybody off. Because both the guys and the girls in Congress are whoring around. Don't kid yourself. It's a cesspool. I went there to do that movie, and I got to tell you, I couldn't get out of there fast enough. You could feel the evil in D.C. It was just permeating from everywhere in that place. And so, anyways, we need to dismantle that entire satanic type of culture that exists there. So, anyways, all right, thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.
Love you all. God bless you all.
All right, have a good one.
Liz, I'm going to go look at Maricopa now. Live stream. If they didn't use the same algorithm, then they didn't. Okay. So I'm going to find out. They could have done an OG. They could have just stuffed it manually. Who knows? Right? Okay.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank